Hello, future CPAs! Welcome sa ating tutorial on fundamentals of auditing and assurance services. I'm Josie De Leon. I'm a CPA. I also finished my MBA and been working for 20 plus years, so don't mind my age. So today we'll go through the basics of auditing and assurance, especially kung paano ito ginagamit sa Philippine setting, no? So, ready na ba kayo? If ready na kayo, then let's start. So this is going to be the flow of our lesson. First is the introduction to assurance engagements, introduction to auditing, and the types of audits in the Philippine setting, and why all of this is important. Why is audit is important? Yan. So we're going to discuss that. So what is an assurance engagement? Assurance engagements are professional services provided by an independent practitioner, like an auditor or an accountant, to enhance the confidence of intended users about what? About the outcome of the evaluation or measurement of the subject matter against the criteria. The level of confidence provided can actually vary. The users or stakeholders are usually investors or regulators, both in the financial or non-financial information. So here in the Philippines, CPAs follow PFRS. So what is PFRS? Philippine Financial Reporting Standards. So later, we will discuss the three different types of engagement. Okay, let's move to the nature of assurance engagements. Assurance engagements or professional services, hindi lang to basta opinion, basta magbigay lang ng opinion, no? So there should be independence. The audit should always be based on evidence. So, sa madaling salita, objective dapat ang basis lagi ng assurance, no? So, ito yung mga details performed by independent. That's why, the word independent is very important to a practitioner, CPA. So, ayan, based on collective objective and verifiable evidence. Hindi pwedeng haka-haka. Hindi pwedeng basta assume lang, no? So, there should be verifiable evidence. Alright? Moving on to the next slide, the objective of assurance engagements is to increase the confidence of intended users about the reliability of the information. Ang goal, the goal is always to be, to add confidence to the users, like the investors, regulators. So, dapat tama, totoo, at reliable lagi ang information. For example, pag may audit opinion sa FS, mas tiwala yung mga investors because there's an independent body who audited the financial statement of the company. Okay? So there are two audit, no? Yung audit for commercial companies or private companies and the audit of the government entities. Elements. So what are the elements of an assurance engagement? Three-party relationship. So ito yung mga elements niya, no? Tatlong parties involved or three-party relationship. Dapat may clear subject matter at criteria. Kailangan na sapat na ebidensya. And syempre, dapat may assurance conclusion na nakadocument. For three-party relationship, ano yung tatlo na yon? We have practitioner, the responsible party, and intended users. Practitioners, ito yung mga CPAs, mga auditors natin, no? Responsible party is the company itself because the management of that particular company is always the responsible party. And intended users, as I mentioned, ito yung mga stakeholders, investors, regulatory body. Alright, sa suitable subject naman, example niyan, financial statements, tsaka mga ESG reports, ano yung i-audit? Yung criteria, ito yung standards. Meron tayong standards that we follow like PFRS, PSA, laws, or policies. No? Depends sa audit. Sufficient appropriate evidence. Ito yung mga gathered through testing or verification. And the last one is the assurance conclusion. So this is where you express now your opinion or may mga reports na wala kasing opinion. So this is the written report. This is the output na. Okay? Types of assurance engagements. The audit engagement types primarily focus on SEC-registered companies, emphasizing assurance for sustainability reports. Okay? Once the reasonable assurance engagement, ito yung high assurance. This is yung, ano ba to? Ito yung my opinion. So the aim of this is to minimize risk for a positive conclusion. Although absolute assurance is actually rare. Example nitong high assurance engagement is financial statement audit. So we ensure that there's a fair presentation according to IFRS or GAAP or PFRS in the Philippines. Audit of internal control over financial reporting, so ICFR, evaluates public companies' internal controls under SOX. It focused on audits on specific elements. Like for example, accounts receivable, accounts payable, and then there's also compliance audits for legal requirements. Also included here, the greenhouse gas emissions reporting. It assures reliability of GHG data. The second one is the limited assurance. Ito yung moderate assurance. So it means less extensive than an audit, like inquiries of management and other personnel, analytical procedures. Yan. The aim is to reduce risk to an acceptable level, providing from the word moderate assurance, so moderate confidence. Examples include review of the financial statements, limited assurance for private companies or interim reports, review of interim financial information, quarterly or semi-annual reviews for public companies, and then the review of prospective financial information. So lahat ito i-discuss natin sa mga susunod na videos natin, no? This is only an introduction. Later on, you will know more about this. The third one is non-assurance engagement. Ito yung walang assurance, so no opinion. No opinion expressed here. Ito yung, you will encounter this later on. Yung compilation, the fund procedures, tax preparation, walang opinion yung mga yan. Okay? Consulting advisory services. You don't need a CPA for this type of engagement. No? Okay, moving on to the next slide. Introduction to auditing. So if you have questions, type lang kayo sa comment section. Alright? Okay, introduction to auditing. Let's define auditing muna. No? It's a systematic, independent, and documented process for obtaining audit evidence and evaluating it objectively. Okay. Hindi lang ito basta-basta checking. The word is structured and or systematic and also independent. So objective talaga tayo dito. And the goal is to be fair. It's always the fair. The word is fair because there's no absolute. In audit, there's no absolute. So it's always fair picture of financial performance. Here in the Philippines, it's actually aligned with the Philippine Standards on Auditing or the PSA. You call PSA, Philippine Standards on Auditing. So while the PSA don't provide a single universal definition in a numbered paragraph, the objective of an audit of financial statements as defined by PSA 200. So overall objectives of the independent auditor and the conduct of an audit in accordance with Philippine Standards on Auditing implicitly defines what auditing aims to achieve. Essentially, according to the PSAs, the objective of an audit of the financial statements is to enable the auditor to express an opinion whether the financial statements are prepared in all material respects in accordance with an identified financial reporting framework. Okay, here in the diagram naman, you will see ito yung mga steps, no, when doing an audit. Because it's systematic. So it starts with the planning, and then you do evidence gathering. You evaluate everything that you gathered, all the evidence, and then before you provide your opinion. So that's the conclusion. This is where you write your written report. Okay. All right. The nature, philosophy, and objectives. So auditing is not just about numbers; it's about credibility. Kaya kailangan ng independence and professional skepticism. Hindi porket sinabi na management, tama na agad. Right? So the nature is based on standards and professional judgment. Philosophy, again, I will repeat, independence, objectivity, and professional skepticism. Okay? So here are the objectives that we discussed. Okay, enhance credibility of financial statements, assess internal control if it's working properly to prevent or detect fraud and errors. No? So what are the types of audit? So according to the nature of assertions or data. The second one is according to the type of auditor. Iba-ibang types kasi ng audit eh. Pwede to kung anong base dun sa aspect na tinatarget natin like operations or compliance or sa type of auditor. Sino yung auditor? Internal, external ba yan, or government audit? So, okay, moving on to the next slide. So the types of nature of assertion or data. So, kanina sa previous slide natin, ito according to the nature of assertions or data. So now we will see what are the types of auditor by nature of assertion or data. So most familiar tayo sa financial audit, no? Yan yung ginagawa para ma-check kung tama ang FS. FS is financial statement. Pero sa private companies and LGUs, important din ang operational and compliance audits. So, yan. Financial statement audit, ito yung sa mga private companies. Compliance audit checks adherence to applicable laws and policies. Later on sa susunod na mga lessons natin, we will understand more what's a compliance audit. And operational audit evaluates efficiency and effectiveness. For a particular, for example, in a company, meron kang manufacturing, then you want your one process ng manufacturing nyo to be audited to see if that's efficient or not efficient, or what are the recommendations of auditor. So usually, apart from CPA, meron tong mga tinatawag nating SME or subject matter experts. Sila yung mga gumagawa niyan. Okay? So what are the types of auditor? Okay, external audits are required for publicly listed companies or firms. Internal audits naman, sa external independent audit, meron tayong mga popular. Yung mga, dati meron tayong Big Five. So we have, globally we have Big Five, no? We have Arthur Andersen, PwC, KPMG, Deloitte, no? Pero nawala na ngayon nawala na si Arthur Andersen. So si SGB, if you're familiar, si SGB, nakadikit na siya kay EY. So we have EY, wala pala akong logo ng EY dito. So EY or SGB, then we have PwC, Deloitte, KPMG, and then the mga smaller ones, ng mga tier 2 na tinatawag, Grant Thornton and BDO. BDO, this is not the bank. There's also an audit firm that's named BDO. And then the second type of auditor is internal audit. This is conducted by the company's own audit department. So this is from the word internal. These are employees of the company. The third one is the government audit. So if you're familiar with COA, COA is the Commission on Audit. We perform audit for all government agencies. Okay. For our next slide, okay, we're almost done na pala. So done na tayo sa introduction natin. Now we're going to do some sample questions for discussion. Bago tayo mag-end, meron tayong we're going to answer some questions here, no, so we can discuss. Okay, what are the 5 essential elements of an assurance engagement? Okay, so we have 3-party relationship, suitable subject matter, criteria, sufficient appropriate evidence, and assurance conclusion. Next one. Okay, our question number 2. How does auditing differ from other types of assurance services? So, ito yung answer natin, no? Auditing provides high assurance with detailed procedures, while other assurance services may offer limited or moderate assurance. Okay. The next question, why is independence important in an audit engagement? Okay, independence ensures objectivity and credibility of the audit report. Yay! Congratulations for finishing our first lesson on audit and assurance. So if you like it, please comment if you have questions. Please, if you can subscribe and like my channel so we can add more lessons to this channel.